Welcome back to Sharp Sports Media. I know it's been a little bit, had some stuff going on. Plus, I wanted to get this kind of video. I knew after the Cubs, I didn't want to do one in between the Cubs series for the Mets. Kind of with the All-Star break coming, I thought, let's wait till the end of the Cubs series. It's not a huge series, and then we can do a first half recap. So this is what that is. It's a first half recap for your New York Metropolitans. And right now, the Metropolitans are 58-35. They sit first place in the division. They're 2.5 up on the Atlanta Braves and currently have the 2 seed in the NL if the playoffs were to start today. The only team who has a better record is the Dodgers, and they sit at 60-30. So overall, you gotta look. Coming back, the Braves only 2.5 back from where it was before, being 10 plus. Losing the last game to the Cubs, even though you took 3 out of 4 from the Cubs, which was what you came in requiring. It was obviously Drew Smith blowing that game was tough to watch because he started off the season so good and has really not been good the last month or so. So you that is one player who needs to have a bounce back in the second half of the year because you're going to need a guy like Drew Smith to really step up. He's gone from that setup guy to not as much, maybe the high level B team guy that you go to, because now Ottavino's taken that setup role, and even him sometimes will hang a slider. So, but pulling back, if you were to tell me that Max Scherzer was going to be out a couple months, or not a couple months, a little over a month, Jacob deGrom's not going to start the first until after the All-Star break, and you'd be sitting first place in your division with a 2.5 game lead, sitting 23 games above 500, I think every single Mets fan would have given you double thumbs up. They would be ecstatic for that. And so you gotta kind of pull back a bit from where you gotta open. You can't have the tunnel vision. Look from where you were at the beginning of the year compared to what you're looking at now. Would you be excited about this team? Obviously, we're excited about this team. Would you be happy at the progress at the halfway mark? And if you said no, you're crazy. You are a friggin' lunatic if you say no, because this is almost everything has gone right for this. A lot has gone right for this Mets team to start the year. Pitching has been great. You've got a bounce back from Taijuan Walker. He looks like he's not an all-star, but looks like he's an all-star from last year, an all-star snub. He's had a 2.55 ERA. Chris Bassett, who you signed over, has been solid at 3.79 ERA. Had a rough June and is starting to bounce back again. He's going to be huge for this rotation coming back. And with him sliding down to the number 3 spot soon, I think it's going to really, really just loosen him up, and he's going to be able to pitch so much freer because now he's just another level down in the pecking order. He's not one of the big 2. He's the 3rd guy, really. Then David Peterson has stepped up huge in the injuries. He's sitting at a 3.24, and you're wondering what you're going to do with the bullpen. Well, he could probably move to the bullpen. That's probably what's going to end up happening when if you don't go to a 6-man rotation, or even if you do when Tyler McGill comes back, you go to a 6-man rotation, you put Peterson in the pen because he has to stay in the big leagues. He's been too good. He's provided too many innings. He's been too solid to go back down to AAA. Even Trevor Williams sitting at a 3.56 ERA. Listen, has he had some games where you're like, as a starter? Yeah. But he's not a starter. He's a long reliever type, and he was able to fill that role for you and just be an innings eater, really. Just keep you in games and allow the offense to really come and try to win them the games. He wasn't going to win you games, but there were some games where he didn't lose you games. There were some, but there were a lot he didn't. He was a great shoe-in filler with DeGrom and Scherzer out. McGill was having a great a solid year before his injury bloated, and then the past couple starts where he was hurt bloated his ERA. It's not a 5.01, but before the injuries, he was pitching very solid. And, of course, you have Mad Max sitting at a 2.22 ERA. I mean, dude is absolutely worth every penny you spent on him. Dude is straight up dog and brings just a different mentality to this lineup, to this to these pitchers, to this rotation, and even to the clubhouse. He just changes everything with his off the field mentality and his on field play being just absolutely dominant, top 5, top 10 pitcher in the sport. And from the batting side, I mean, I understand there's a couple disappointments. Obviously, J.D. Davis and whatchamacallit, Dom Smith are disappointments. You wanted to see one of them, at least one of them, step up into this DH role and really take advantage of it. And J.D. Davis just can't find a way to get the ball in the air. And Dom Smith has been kind of and more up and down, and he's had way more downs than he had up. And the other big problem is the catching position. I mean, James McCann has been atrocious. He's hitting a 183 with a 250 on base and a 293 slugging. He's been terrible. He's good. The only reason he's still on this team is because he can frame the ball so well. But to be honest, I think you have to start. Nito's better defensively, and he provides clutch hitting with runners in scoring position. So Nito batting 211 with a 489. That's Nito, right? Yeah, Nito with a 489. I think Nito has to be your starter here going down the road. I know McCann just got hurt again, but I think especially what he does to gun guys out from his knees, the way he helps pitchers, Nito's been your best catcher in my opinion. So I think next year you're going to definitely see Alvarez start the year, but I don't think he gets called up this year. So I think you're just going to have to stick with it. It's not a position I see us targeting at the deadline. But besides the DH and the catcher, everything's been great. Lindor's had a huge bounce back year. He has the highest WAR for a position player on our team. Batting 248. You'd wish it was a little higher, but that's, you know what? When he's on base for at 324, 432 slugging, 756 OPS. He's got 66 RBIs, 16 home runs, 89 hits. So while some of the regular numbers that you would look at from an old-timer's perspective with the average, and you know, you might not think he's playing that well, but in reality, he is playing very well for us this year. It's one of our core pieces and is a huge part of this team, and it's great to see somebody like that bounce back because he's going to be a part of this team whether you like it or not for years to come, and you're going to need him. So to root against him like some Mets fans do is ludicrous. To see him succeed is fantastic. Pete Alonso is the face of, on the batter side, is the face of this team. I mean, he's got 24 home runs, 857 OPS, 2.2 WAR, 78 RBIs. This guy just absolutely rakes, and is just his love for the game and his love for the Mets and this team is just infectious. That's what you'll love to see. Nimmo's been fantastic for you. He's really come on as a defensive, been able to play center field. He's not even just an average defensive fielder. He's a very good center fielder out there, and he still has he walks a ton still gets on base, gets good hits. He's been absolutely great for you guys, or for us. And to be honest, I think he's the best center fielder in the NL, which might be a bold statement, but I think he's the best center fielder in the National League, and that's a huge thing for you. Jeff McNeil, All-Star, starting in the All-Star game tomorrow. He's been fantastic for you. Bounce back here. If you were to bet anybody were to bounce back from last year, it was Jeff McNeil. It was such a weird season for him last year. You knew he had to bounce back, and I'm so glad they didn't trade him because I had so much faith in Jeff McNeil coming back, and he's put it into you. Mark Canha, one of the most underrated signings of the offseason. He's been great for you. Solid fielder, solid bat, and just all-around guy. Luis Guillorme has been this ultra utility guy. He's probably been better than Escobar, who's, you wish Escobar was a little better, but in reality, it's not that big of a deal. You know, to win a World Series, you probably need to be a little better, but from where you are now, it's not the biggest worry in the world, because you could play Luis Guillorme there, who's been fantastic, has been probably one of your best fielders. And if there was a utility all-star, like Buck Showalter says, Luis Guillorme would be in the all-star game for sure. So, and you've had guys step up from the minor leagues too. Nick Plummer with a big home run. Patrick Mazeika has had a couple big hits. You know, Khalil Lee has a home run. Jankowski has been a great filler earlier in the year. Not as much when he got back from injury, but to start the year, he was fantastic for you. Stealing bases, just hustling down the first, making great defensive plays. So overall, this team, the expectations were high, and they've lived up to them. And most of this team has been great. You're going to get Jacob deGrom back, hopefully a series or two into after the All-Star break. I pray he starts the first game against the Yankees, because imagine him taking down the best team in baseball, just throwing 100 miles an hour right by their face, and then making them buckle at the slider and the changeup, and oh my God, and just seeing the faces on Yankees fans knowing how much better deGrom is over Cole, and he still hadn't pitched over first time pitching in a year. Be fantastic. It'd be fantastic. But either way, if he doesn't, he plays against the Padres. That's a good team. Helps you against that series. So either way, it's a win-win. But you're getting deGrom back. He's also going to be off the field. Probably he's a leader in that locker room. It helps you move down the pitching rotation. So Bassett, like I said, at 3, Walker at 4, Cookie, Carrasco moves down, who's had a bounce back year for you, not letting up as many first inning runs. Besides against the Astros, which if we play the Astros, I'm probably not starting Cookie Carrasco in the World Series. But they've been fantastic. And they've done everything that you could have asked for as a Mets fan. You hope you understand, if they miss, they're going to make the playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and say they're not going to make the playoffs. Could they lose a division? Yeah, they could definitely lose a division. Do I think they will? Probably not. I mean, that's a little Mets bias, but 2.5 up on the Braves. I like our matchup. You play the Braves a lot, and that's going to decide who wins the division, and those are going to be your key games. It's against the Braves and the Phillies. Those are your biggest games. You play them a bunch to finish the year. So, and I do like our matchup against the Braves, the way we are contact, small ball team hitter, and they're home run or bust, really. You know, the amount they strike out, and I trust our pitchers to get those strikeouts. They might let up a home run or two, but I trust our guys to be able to get a couple small ball runs off of their pitchers, who are great. They have a great staff, great team. I'm not trying to belittle the Braves, but I just like how we match up against the Braves. So I think that will be the division decider, though. But I love the first half of this Mets team. I'm looking forward to the second half. A couple things to watch out for in the second half. Let's see, a couple key points, I think. DeGrom, obviously, coming back is number 1. Number 2, I think, can you get something in the trade deadline? What are you going to get? I think you need at least 1, probably 2 bullpen arms and a DH. Some guys to look out for. Trey Mancini is a guy I really want. I don't know if it's going to happen now with Baltimore making that jump, but I do ultimately think they sell. You would have heard that on Moonshots and Meatballs. I said I think they still sell, so I would go in on Trey Mancini. David Robertson and Andrew Chafin are 2 bullpen names I keep my eye out for. I like those names for the Mets. And then it's just other areas. Do you call up a guy like Mark Vientos? I don't think they call up Alvarez, but I think Mark Vientos could be a huge addition to this lineup, a huge power. I think you need a power bat. And Mark Vientos is a pure power guy who can really destroy some baseballs. Might struggle a little bit, but you don't know. He's done well in AAA. I don't think you call up Alvarez just to be a DH. I think you wait till next year. And, yeah. And probably the biggest question in the MLB is Juan Soto going to be traded before the deadline? I highly doubt he's traded before this trade deadline. I think if he gets traded, it'll be this off season, or maybe to start the year. It'd be a rush to trade him right now, And if I'm the Mets, I mean, you do everything you can to get that guy. Obviously, the only guy I'm a little protective about is Francisco Alvarez. I think he could be the best catcher in the league. I think he could be an all-star for years to come. So, I mean, I love Brett Beatty. I think Alex Ramirez could be a great player. Ronnie Mauricio, switch hitter. Vientos power. But I would be willing to deal almost all of them, except for Alvarez. I'm pretty. I mean, it's tough. It's tough because a guy like Juan Soto is just so good. So he's going to be up. I mean, it's hard to predict, but I mean, I'm losing my. If you hear me, it's hard to say how good he is. He is probably a future Hall of Famer, one of the best players. He could go down as one of the best players in MLB history. That's how good he is. Only 23 years old too, which is freaking insane. 23 years old. But I don't ultimately think he gets traded before the deadline. So, but let me know what your thoughts on the Mets first half this year. You can let me know in the comments or on Twitter. Twitter is jsharf_1216. The link will be in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on the other side.